Back here on One, Daniel Melia alongside Ben Oppenheimer and George Sfouggatakis. We talked a lot about the Yankees and a little bit about the Red Sox and the Orioles and some other folks, and in passing about the Mets on the first side of this segment. Staying in the MLB, because spring training is very exciting, and we're going to hear from the man who is most excited about his New York Mets first. Ben Oppenheimer, what have you seen that you've liked and that you haven't liked out of Mets spring training camp so far?
Yeah, I think Soto in particular, I have started to see the defensive issues that some people have pointed out with him, playing in right field. But, look, I mean, I still think this is a very important move to help put the Mets in the front seat for contending. And what I've seen in these games is, there's definitely some holes, the rotation. I do think we are missing an ace. And, who actually said that the Mets are missing an ace? It's legendary pitcher for the Mets and, unfortunately, for the Yankees, Dwight Gooden, talking about how the Mets are, they're missing one more arm in that starting rotation. And then they're also, you're dealing with Frankie Montas being out for a couple of weeks.
You have Clay Holmes starting.
Yeah, but
what do you think about that, Ben? Do you agree with that move to the starting rotation for Holmes?
Not really.
Oh, really? I actually like it.
Really?
Yes.
I'm interested to see why you like it.
That man does not like happiness.
Well, I actually love happiness, and I've had a lot
Clay
of it
Holmes
as a
doesn't.
Boston sports fan. But
does not.
Here's
Tell
my
me,
thing.
tell me, Dan,
This is my thing about Clay Holmes. It's leverage. What he struggles with is high leverage situations, and taking a guy out of the bullpen and stretching him into a starter when he has stuff like Holmes can work if he isn't feeling the pressure. I really feel like he just kind of lost his command in critical moments for the Yankees. And I actually, when the Red Sox played the Yankees, was literally rooting for Holmes to come onto the mound almost every time, but in late game situations. But later in the season, I saw them put him in, 6th, 7th innings a couple times, and he improved. I felt like he looked more comfortable, felt like he had more command, and I really think that there is a chance that it could work for the Mets. So I like it for him, I suppose, individually. Do I like it? I guess I should, let me dichotomize then between, do I like it for him personally? 100%. Do I like it for the Mets? I think it is a high risk and medium reward situation, but I also wonder if there wasn't any better way they could have stocked up on the rotation, especially since we're concerned about Melia and Frankie Montas' health. It does seem, Bobby said that the Mets look one arm short. I do kind of think that that is the case, but that's also a problem that could be fixed over the course of the season, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you take an optimistic perspective on it, and again, there as a whole, there's great reason for optimism with this Mets team. You've got Kodai Senga coming back healthy after 2023 had a solid
he was nails
rookie year, and then 2024 just from the beginning dealt with a lot of injuries, and then came back in July for a game that I watched, and then right when he had his pitching debut, he was in the 6th inning of that game that I was attending. I forget what it was, but he was running towards a ground ball to throw the first, and he injured his
Oh
leg,
yes, I remember that.
Just running. Oh,
you'd never see Garrett Cole do that.
Yeah. Well,
yes, I happened to watch like the highlights of that game.
Yeah, you're spiritually a Mets fan.
Well, they hate the Yankees. I mean,
Yeah.
Ben,
we have something in common.
do you think the Mets are the best team in the NL East?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting question. I do think the Dodgers are very formidable.
What about
He said the division.
What about your division?
Oh, in the NL East. Yeah, I do think.
You think you're better than the Braves?
I think they're just as good as the Braves.
The question for me with the Braves is
I don't agree in the slightest.
You cannot seriously believe that. You
The,
don't
the,
agree in the slightest.
The Braves are a bunch of studs.
well, but this is the thing, though, with the Braves.
So
Do you really think Chris Sale, and I say this as a Red Sox fan, is going to be able to do what he did last year again?
Yes,
Because
but
that
then
was
you
the
have-
key to me to their success.
But then you have Spencer Strider coming back.
yes,
And you have Spencer Schwellenbach, who's going to have a better year than he
Alright,
did
well,
last year.
I don't know if we can put. I do agree he's going to improve. I don't know if you can put him in the same league as Sale yet, but I think
I'm not putting him in the same league. I'm saying they have a solid core.
they
have-
do.
They have a better core than the Mets. In my
that I
opinion.
don't agree
The
with.
Mets are. I mean, if you take betting odds seriously, and I don't bet,
I don't.
And I don't encourage you guys to bet
Not
to our
sponsored
listeners.
by WFUV. Guys.
Yes, not sponsored in any way. But the Mets and the Braves are tied at plus 550 to be the best team in the National League in terms.
We're
of
the Phillies
in
there.
terms of the behind. In terms of the division, the Braves are plus 140. The Mets are plus 200. So
they do have the Braves favored.
Look,
That's a little
I think
interesting.
the Mets can easily come in first. But
No, I agree.
I also think the Braves and the Phillies are good. I never said they weren't competitive. It's going to be a dogfight for first, and I think whoever is in the number one wild card spot in the NL is going to be coming out of the NL East because that's how competitive it is with the Phillies.
I
and the
agree with that
Braves.
completely. No, for sure. But just looking at the
so-
lineup, I see a better lineup for the Braves than I do the Mets.
Well, it depends on how Acuna
Well, maybe
plays.
definitely
coming
younger,
off of injury.
younger lineup. Because the Mets, a lot of the Mets building up in the past few years has been patchwork through free agency, through trades.
But I'm saying even go position by position.
Yeah, I'm giving you credit. The Braves are more
Like
homegrown.
at the catcher, Sean Murphy is a better catcher than Francisco Alvarez. Matt Olson is better than Pete Alonso. Then Ozzie Albies is better than Jeff McNeil. Mark Vientos, Austin Riley smokes him.
Mark Vientos had a great
Austin
postseason.
Riley is better.
Yeah, I was
Mark
going to say
Vientos had
Austin
a great
Riley-
postseason.
Austin Riley is the better
so-
player, but you
so-
got to give Vientos some credit. He did play very
Austin
well.
Riley
yeah.
is the best third baseman in baseball.
Really?
Mark Vientos, I think Mark Vientos
You're going to go there?
Yes, for sure, in a heartbeat.
I mean, I think it's a fair take.
Let's look at
I'm
Mark
not going to say
Vientos'
Devers is better. He's not. But
George, let's look at Vientos' numbers from last year. We can even let's check at the postseason. In
He went
2024.
he hit- he
I
hit
think
320.
I think that you should give Jose Ramirez a little bit of respect at third base, though.
327,
All right,
360.
I'll give you J Ram on that.
362 on base
Especially after
percentage,
last
998
postseason,
OPS in 55 at bats, 18 hits, along with 14 RBIs, and again batting over 300. He had an amazing postseason. A big reason for why the Mets got all the way into the series against the Dodgers, and that was a Cinderella team. The Mets in 2024 were expected to maybe contend for a wild card. Not only did they do that, they came within 2 games of the World Series.
Yeah, and they did that after a terrible start to the season,
yes.
too.
Yes.
I really didn't see it coming.
Really,
I didn't see Jose Iglesias, Red Sox legend, by the way, coming. Although
Yeah.
now he's
now
off.
he's
and-
gone. They
yeah.
should have re-signed him.
Well, I don't think that he was going to be worth to them what he needed to be paid. Although he ended up getting a minor league deal, but
That,
it was-
going back, the Braves are only better than the Mets in like 2 positions.
Well,
2
Lindor
and a
is
half
better than
positions.
Arcia.
Yeah, for sure. Lindor
And
than Arcia.
I would take Nimmo if he's healthy over Jurickson Profar. I don't think that Jurickson Profar is going to be the
You
same
don't think
guy
he's gonna have
this
the
year.
same guy?
I
same
had him
year
on my
last year?
fantasy team. Okay,
He
I
was-
was
he
a
was a
Jurickson
stud
Profar
last year.
truther, but I don't think I need to see him prove it. To be frank with you, because he had
My-
some really
obviously,
years.
and Michael Harris is clearly better than Tyrod Taylor. Michael Harris is
Tyrod Taylor. Well, if they had Tyrod Taylor in center field, that would be very interesting.
Which Starling Marte?
He'd probably throw very hard.
Tyrone Taylor. Pardon me. Pardon me. But Michael Harris, when he is in the zone, he's one of the best hitters in baseball.
So, but this is an interesting. Would you take Soto or Acuna?
Acuna.
You think so?
Acuna.
Well, he's a better defender, Rob.
Fully healthy. I'm taking Ronald Acuna.
I'd
My
probably take
mind,
Soto.
my mind says Acuna, but my heart says Soto.
I think I would take Soto. Maybe I'm a little biased towards him because he almost signed with the Sox. But
I would take Acuna because
I love
he's
those
a well
power
he's a more
but
well-rounded
yeah, he's
player.
5-tool. But
he's everything you could want in a baseball player.
okay, well,
put
but
into one.
let me say this: if Soto is going to play the way that he played last year, then I'll take Soto.
Yeah,
But if
that's
it's
the question.
Acuna before his injury, then yes, I'll
That's
take
the
Acuna.
question.
If it's prime Acuna who's hitting 41 homers, 106 RBIs, and
I mean, like I said, he's 5'2". He's ridiculous.
yeah, and then and it's tough. He's an 8-win player at his prime.
You think?
He is.
Was that what it said?
Yeah,
8?
2023 he had 8.
How many was Soto last
8
year?
WAR.
You know what's interesting? Just to go slightly off topic is I read a headline.
Going back, Soto was 7.9, so 0.2 less.
I read a headline yesterday
On Acuna with better defense as well.
that said Soto got other offers that were more in terms of total amount of money than what the Mets offered in an interview. He said that yesterday, which I think is kind of crazy, just showing how much teams were bidding for him. Someone could say he's not being truthful. I think he is, and it shows that he wanted to stay in New York, but even if the Mets didn't offer him the most money, he preferred the Mets offer to the Yankees offer because it was obviously more.
And to the Red Sox.
Yeah, well, yeah,
And
but
to the
Red
Blue
Sox,
Jays.
It was really
the
it was,
Blue Jays can't land a free agent. That's
well,
really
'cause
bad.
it's Toronto, it's Canada. Nobody wants to be in Canada unless they become.
Our 51st
yeah,
state.
right.
I was going to say, I think
Yeah.
there are some people who would like the U.S. to be in Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
another
again, this is
conversation.
one-on-one. I think you
Yeah.
and I, Ben, I got to save that conversation for later.
But yeah, Toronto not a free agent destination. Unfortunately, not just for the MLB, but also for the NBA. Look at Kawhi Leonard after winning a championship, an amazing run that he went on with that team. Just bolted for the Clippers just for a massive contract. But it was really the Mets and the Yankees. That's what it went down to. The Red Sox were it was like Mets and Yankees, and then Red Sox like this in third.
And I'm hoping that means that the Sox can be competitive, like I said earlier, for Guerrero. But we'll have to see. But I mean, I think he wants to go there.
I think Steve Cohen wants to go after.
Oh, I'm sure
Vlad.
Steve Cohen wants to go after every player on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So that's not a
Yeah.
surprise. I mean, Steve Cohen would sign what's his name from Major League.
Yeah,
I forget.
Wild Thing.
Yes, Wild Thing, and he would sign Henry. What's his name from? Oh God, I'm forgetting my baseball movies right on the spot right now. The one where he trips over the chalk and suddenly is able to throw like 100-mile-an-hour fastballs as a 13-year-old. What is that one called?
Oh my God!
Somebody want to help me out here?
I think I know what you're talking about, but
It's the one with the Cubs, right?
Yes, it's the one with the Cubs.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Okay, well we'll figure it out. But the point is, Steve Cohen is ready to sign every man on the face of the earth if he thinks it'll take the Mets.
you
to a
really know your
World
Mets
Series.
lore for a guy who's a Red Sox fan
Hey,
from Baltimore. You
I-
know your Mets stuff. And
I
you
try
know
to
your
s-
Knicks stuff
I
too.
try to stay abreast of all developments in the sporting world.
In
It
New
took
York.
everything in me not to put a Premier League segment in here, okay?
Yeah,
With the
but-
exception being F1.
Yeah.
I don't. But I was even paying some attention to WWE this week because John Cena's heel turn was interesting, and that was not something I would normally pay attention to. So I just try to stay up on the times.
Yeah.
So before we go to the break, though, let's look at the MLB writ large. I want you guys to tell me, we have a bit of time before the start of the regular season, but I want you guys to tell me one team that you expect to be better than I think the general populace is giving them credit for. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think that they have a potential to, I don't think they're going to win the Central, but I think they could threaten for a wild card, and I don't see a lot of people talking about that. They're just talking about Paul Skeens. But the team is bigger than that. They've been building this for a couple of years. I think the Pirates are a team to look out for. What about you, George?
Does it still count as what people aren't talking about if I say the Cubs?
I mean, I suppose there's not a lot to talk about them right now.
That team is going to be so nasty. They're going to be so
You think they've got
good.
the Central?
Yeah.
Wow.
They have the Central this year.
I got the Brewers winning it again.
Really?
Yeah.
I have so much faith in this Cubs. I love Shohei Managa. He's so good. He's so good. Pete Crow Armstrong's going to be nasty.
I was going to say, I think they need a big year from him if they're going to make the playoffs.
And obviously Kyle Tucker's Kyle Tucker. There's not much to say about him. He's just a complete and utter stud. He's so nasty.
No doubt.
Nico Horner's good when he's healthy. Michael Bush is solid. Dansby Swanson, I could see a good year from him. I could see a
Ben.
good year from Dansby.
Close us out.
I think you're going to like my answer, Dan. I think you're really going to like it. And I'm going with the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, you think they're not getting enough credit?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think in the same way that the NL East is going to be a dogfight for first between the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves, I think the AL East is surprisingly going to be a dogfight between the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Red Sox for first. And I think the Red Sox, if they don't get first or second, I think they will make one of those 2 wild card spots, or 3, excuse me, in the American League. So.
I do think that they are significantly better than previous years. I think this should be the year they return to the playoffs. I'm not sure if I see them as a World Series contender quite yet. They're going to have to prove that to me, but we'll have to see. That's going to do it for our MLB segment. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll devote a good amount of time to the NFL because, boy, there has been a lot of interesting stuff happening there in the last, really, 48 hours or so. More on that in a minute.